This is the place to go to if you want to playtest any kind of card game, or even realistically, you could do this with board games as well. Really, almost any tabletop game in general. This is playingcards.io. I make a lot of card games, I make a lot of board games, and I have to playtest these, and sometimes I have to playtest them with other people, and a lot of the times I can't be with those people. This is perfect for that. When you open up the page, it'll basically be this. You can start a sample game, which will give you basically just a random game, but the thing that you really want to do is start a blank room. You'll hit enter to join and everything like that, and you can hit this button over here in the top left that says edit table, and then you can do a lot of cool things here. Obviously you can add your own decks, but if you wanted just a standard deck of 52 cards, you can easily just add that to the room, and now it's in the room. When I exit edit mode, these cards are now here. There's a space for you to actually place the deck. There is recall and shuffle, so it takes all of the cards from players' hands and throw them in there. I can show you that by dragging these to my hand, which this is where your hand is right here. I can recall and shuffle, recall all. Okay, all objects, including things in people's hands. Boom, there it goes. It is really handy. There's a lot of very simple controls, like just clicking and dragging. You can click it to flip it face up, and of course you can drag it to your hand down here. They're only visible to you, so your opponents will also have like a little bar down here, which basically is where they would also put the cards in their hand and things like that. So there's some cool stuff that you can do with this. Now, something else you can do too is, since we have this, we can actually click on this right here, and it allows us to edit what this deck is capable of doing. For example, we can have it be able to rotate. So if I include these like this, and then exit table mode, I can now rotate it in these different ways. I can even rotate it this sideways or this sideways, and it even stays that way even after you flip it. There are random spinners, so of course, as you would expect, you spin it and you get a random number out of 6, but that can also be customized. If I click on that, I can make it go all the way up to 20 if I wanted to. There is pegs that you can place down on here, other things too, like pucks and checkers, all kinds of things. You can even do chips, and all of these are customizable. They all start out at 0, but if you click on them, you can increase the size of them. So for example, if I want there to be multiple pieces, I just hit pieces here, and I can say there is going to be 1 black and 1 white, and you know what, let's give black 2 of them, and we're done. And now when we go back to the table, there is 3 in there, and I can shuffle this by hitting this button right here and shuffling this stack just like that. I can even cut the deck, and of course the same thing applies to this stack over here as well. I can even cut the deck completely in half, and then I can cut that deck in half, and then I can cut that deck in half if I wanted to. So if you wanted to sort out cards really easily that way, that also works. It's super, super helpful. Now, the thing that excites me most, I said that you can kind of make your own games in this, or if you wanted to play test some of your own games, it's very possible to do it. It requires a little bit more work than just simply pressing a button, of course, unless it is just a regular stack of, like a regular deck of cards here. But what you can do is you can come over here to, let's say, just a standard deck like this. You can click on that. We can click on specifically the deck right here, this specific deck right here. We can go to cards, and we can clear all of these. So now there is 0 cards in all of this. As a matter of fact, we can delete all of these if we wanted to. Delete all of them, and we can upload our own images. So we could do that a number of ways. We just hit this upload image thing, and it would open up a folder for you, and it would allow you to upload the image, and it'd be a whole thing. So if you wanted to view the back of the cards, you could make the back of the cards your own customized things by just clicking this, and again, you would have a folder, a file that comes up and allows you to select your specific special one. So there is a lot of cool things like that you can do with this. Really, really, really customizable. We can remove everything in the deck. That's honestly how I would recommend doing it, to be completely honest with you. And then I would hit add new card, and then if you wanted to upload images, it obviously brings up your file, so you can click this, and you can even grab multiple objects like this. So here to here, let's say we want all of these, we can hit open, and it will actually upload all of those for you. And then obviously they start out at 0, but you can hit this all +1 button, and now all of them have +1. Of course, if I wanted this specific card to have 2 of them though, I can hit 2 on that or something like that, or 3 or whatever. Or if I just didn't want it in the deck anymore, because again, I'm playtesting, maybe I found that this card is really powerful, so I don't want this to be mixed in with the cards that aren't as powerful. We can also make this transparent so that that isn't super visible, but now we can hit done. And now when we exit the table, all of these cards have that background. We can shuffle this stack. We can flip the cards over. We can't rotate them because I didn't include that yet. But if you do that, if you hover over the cards, it'll kind of zoom in on it. Sometimes it can be a little bit finicky, but usually when you hover over the card, it shows you. I thought it was on by default, but apparently you have to have enlarge objects on by default. So you would want to show enlarge there, basically. Then we can exit the table. And now whenever we hover over it, it'll actually make the card much bigger so you can actually see and read the text, because obviously you cannot read that text. It's way too small. Now, something else to say is if you do put these cards back in the deck, it will be flipped face up. So you would always want to flip the cards face down before you put them in there. Or alternatively, you can just put all of the cards in there, even though they're face up like this. And then you can hit flip stack, and none of these cards will ever be flipped face down. So they will all be flipped face down when you flip them back. Now, if you're not a huge fan of the border on the cards, there's stuff you can do with that too. So if I click on this, and I can adjust the width and the height so that it's not actually like that, basically. The template we can adjust as well, so we could have it be border heavy to light. We can change it to there's no border. We can have it to have a heavy border, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot we can do with this, essentially. The height would be the main thing to kind of play with, because it is something that might be a little bit difficult to get right on the first try, but you do it just right, you're gonna have to really play with it a lot. But as you can see, we've basically completely removed the white edges, and now it's just a basic normal card. So you can definitely adjust the cards to whatever size you want to. It can be a little bit difficult to do, but it's definitely worth it. There's counters you can add. All of this stuff is customizable. Even these pucks, if I click on this and go to pieces, I can change the image to whatever I wanted to. If I wanted, for some reason, this dude right here to be one of the things, then I can do that, and I can hit done. Go back to this, and now I just have these little guys. So if you wanted to do a D&D thing, you could technically do that. If you wanted to upload your own images, you can't really do a whole lot with these because they're not technically cards, but you can do some cool stuff with this. If you wanted to have dice, of course, there is actually just straight up dice, so you really wouldn't need the spin counter for the dice and everything like that. But I would recommend getting like a standard D6 or something like that. You can click on this, of course. You can go to the faces, and you can upload your own faces to these as well. So again, you can go ham with this, and just like that, they have their own faces. The dice kind of moves in a weird way and everything. But this is super helpful and useful. I really hope you guys will have a lot of luck and use out of this, essentially. Now, if you do want to invite other people to this table after you have everything set up, you can do that by just hitting more options and hitting share room. And then anybody with this code will join this exact table, essentially. Now, something else you can do too is it does save your tables for a brief amount of time, especially if you do decide to sign up and like sign in, because there is a sign in option and things like that. If you do want to save your table and everything like that, you do have room options down here. You can click on that, and you could change the template so it's just a completely different thing. You can change the room name here, but you can also import the file or export the file. So if it'll give me this little code or this little file that I can then import like this. Now it's gonna look something like this right here, where it's like PCIO or something like that. It'll export it like that, and then if you want to import it later, so maybe like 6 months from now, if you wanted to load up the same game, you can click on it and hit open, and it will start uploading all of the images and setting up everything for you. All you have to do is wait for that to happen. Of course, the more images and more custom things you have happening in this game, the longer it's gonna take to actually upload everything. But once it's done, it'll have everything that you set up originally for it. Even the pieces and everything like that will be in the exact same spot. So if you were doing like a D&D session or something like that, you would ideally export your table at the end of your session, especially if pieces are in very crucial places, and then import it back once you're ready to do the next session or something like that. So that is something you can do with that. Of course, I have it set up for my game Let's Be Wizards, and it has a lot of custom images, especially since I've been working on the new set for it and everything like that. It's 100 extra cards, so it's just a whole thing. But as you can see, boom, it took a while. It eventually gave us all of this. Even the player names that I set up here, this is something else that I want to mention as well. If you are going to have some game that requires multiple players to have decks, you are going to have to do something a little bit janky, like having your deck in the bottom left, and then your opponent's deck on the top left, and then another opponent's on the top right, and another player's on the the bottom right or something like that. You might have to do a little bit of customization like that, but otherwise the game is pretty much ready for you to go. If I wanted this to be preset like this, maybe I have the cards in a specific order that I want it to be in to teach somebody the game, that will be set up for me as well. I have my custom dice here. I can move them around, do whatever I want with them, shuffle, like roll them, of course. It's great. This has been a huge help for me with Let's Be Wizards and things like that, so I hope it'll be a big help for you. And that's all I got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this and find some use. Again, it is playingcards.io. I'll leave a link for it in the description. But otherwise, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye, and remember to do it for the meme.